Hello again, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Brown's Latest. I'm Dave Grendzynski, but you could call me Grizzer, and this is where we'll get you caught up on some of the latest news and the tidbits that are tied to our favorite team in the NFL. That is, of course, the Cleveland Browns. And then we'll give you our take on the news along the way. Thank you to everybody who's liked our previous episodes. All of you who have subscribed to the channel. We've never been closer to 14,000 than we are today. And thank you to everybody who gets your comments down there in the viewer comment section. Well, coming up on today's show, the combine is now over, but the real work begins today. We have to put together an offense. One thing you better not rule out is Andrew Berry gets set to revamp this offensive line. We'll tell you what it is. Also, we'll take a look at how I would approach the total transformation of this offensive scheme that we're going to put together. Not necessarily the players that'll make it up, but the scheme that we will be putting out there. And then in the viewer comments, who cares about Shedeur Sanders? What? What is going on? We're going to have to figure all that out. But, all right, let's put a bow on the combine. And I'll tell you, it reminded me of a Top Gun. If you've got the need for speed, this was for you. This combine was for you. I mean, position group after position group, just going out there and beating the all-time, the groups were every time a new group went out there, just beating the. So they were setting records all over the place for 40 times and things like that. It was something to watch, And then now we are honing in on the wide receivers and the offensive line. And so, but you couldn't help but notice some of the defensive players, like Sonny Styles and Arvell Reese, the guys from the Buckeyes, on defense that were just lighting it up, man. And so can't take your eyes off of them, but the Mississippi State's wide receiver, Brennan Thompson, running a 4.26. Deion Burks from Oklahoma, a 4.3. Jeff Caldwell from Cincinnati, a 4.31. And he's got size. He's a big target. So he checks my box. I added him to our list after this combine. And Malik Benson from Oregon, 4.37. Oregon. They all burned up the track, that's for sure, and then you get the ones who, okay, maybe their times weren't, as great, but doesn't matter. We'll start with Jacoby Lane, 6'4", 200, but he still ran a 6'4", 7, which by wide receiver standards, these days, I guess you could say it's okay. Now, the difference is, like Carnell Tate. So after Carnell Tate ran, everybody's, he ran a 4.5. Oh, he ran a 4.5, but he plays a lot faster than he runs. And so then it comes out that there were a number of NFL GMs and executives that had him clocked somewhere as low as 4.47, the same as Jacoby Lane. So, the speed thing, it's a thing like when something happens with the Arkansas quarterback. When he goes out there and runs that 4.3, and that you're going to perk up on something like that. But when the wide receivers, if they, it could just be a bad day or something, but still, this is still 4.4 speed. It's still super fast, man. 4.4, even 4.5. My goodness, that is flying. And so, I have not wavered after going through this over the weekend. I still think Tate should be the target at 6. And then if he's not there, we could turn our attention to the offensive line. So let's walk through this as we piece together this offense for the Browns. And, you had the offensive linemen yesterday. The whole thing, all of them. I'm like, all of the guys that have been on our list. All of them. I like them all. There's nothing wrong with any of them. Freeling running a 4.93. The guy, the tackle from Georgia. He's the real deal. He probably just ran himself into remember we told you, if he has a good combine, he's going to shoot up the draft board because originally people were thinking we might be able to get him at 24. I don't think that's going to happen. And then Crownover from Texas A&M goes out there, runs a 5.15. That guy is massive. Remember, he was on our big people list yesterday. I mean, the size of these guys and the way they run. And my guy, Jennings Dunker, the Iowa right tackle, he runs a 5.19, and he's got that hair. And then, I mean, he's been the talk of this group from way back in the beginning. Potentially number one rated, Spencer Fano, runs a 4.91. I mean, you could probably pull him if you need to, right? I just say the speed. And then Ianachor from Arizona State goes out and runs a 4.91 as well. Like, these guys are all so big, all so fast. I mean, you can't. I mean, honestly, I don't think you can miss on any of these guys. I mean, they're all just, they came as advertised. That's for sure. So, okay, so now we got to start talking about rebuilding this offensive line. And they were talking about it yesterday on the Combine coverage, that GMs are now saying that you can absolutely get instant impact starting offensive linemen in the first round in this draft. And I would say, depending on how it goes, you might get them in the second round too. They could spill into the second round because there are so many of them. And so what's key to remember is, and we talked about this weeks ago, remember? Look at New England, look at the Bears, look at how they rebuilt their offensive line for their young quarterback. And Andrew Berry at the Combine specifically named the Bears as the template they might follow. I mean, he specifically named the Bears. And I want to show you how the Bears did it. So keep this in mind, as now we're going to turn our attention to free agency. Free agency is only, it starts in a week. The tampering day is the 9th. So here's how the Bears put their line together last year. It started with a trade. Joe Thuney, the all-pro left guard, they got him from the Chiefs in exchange for a 2026 fourth-round pick. So a pick in this year's draft, fourth round. They also made another trade for Jonah Jackson, Pro Bowl right guard from the Rams, not the Ramas, the Rams, for a sixth-round pick. Then they spent some free agency money. They signed center Drew Dolman away from the Falcons, 3 years, $42 million. So that's with $28 million guaranteed. So now you want to talk about Ty Linderbaum numbers? That could be it. that might be what it takes. Something like that. And then they drafted offensive tackle Ozzie Trapio from Boston College. They got him in the second round, number 56 overall. And, they added a couple other Braxton Jones. They had some other pieces that they held on to. They weren't really happy with Jones the way it was going. But it was a mix of, as you can see there, trades, free agency, and the draft. And what I'll say is this: don't rule out a trade with Andrew Berry. I mean, look, he's on a heater right now. I mean, we could forget about the Deshaun Watson trade. We could forget about Amari Cooper. We could forget about Zadarius Smith. We could put all those trades aside. Put all those, because he's been on a heater, and he went out. He made the trade in the draft last year to fall back and get Graham, and then he got traded up in the fifth round to get Shador. And then he pulled off the Greg Newsome for Tyson Campbell, the steal of the year during the season. So I would not rule out a trade with Andrew Berry, whether it's draft day or another day, to start, get this offensive line some help. And so we will approach this much the same way the Bears did. Now, the luxury for us is we have the 2 first-round picks. And so what I would hone in on is, if we don't get Tate at 6, I think you look at instantly a trade back. and or you take 2 offensive line in the first round. You get, because they're going to, if you could get 2 impact starters for the next 4 or 5 years, get them. Okay, so let's start there with our early strategy for the new offense. This is the scheme as we put it together. How I think this will go down. I think signing Linderbaum is a must, and I just told you it's not going to be easy. It's not going to be cheap, but I think it's a must. Andrew Berry's going to have to work his magic with the cap, maybe backload the guarantee money or something to keep it off the books until until next year and the year after. But I think Linderbaum would be instant solidification of this offensive line. If we don't get Tate, if we get Tate, absolutely have to take another lineman. If they know they could trade back a little bit, still get Tate, which, I don't know. But a lot of these other guys impress, so we don't know. I mean, Tate could fall now. I mean, we're not, but I love Tate. He doesn't drop anything, and he's big. He's everything I want. But there's guys that I like in the second round too. Or Boston at 20. But here's the thing. None of that has really changed except for this. I think these offensive linemen, you got to get them. You got to get them now. This is the year. I mean, this is like the year of the linemen, and we need them, and we need a lot of them. And so I'm so close to saying we might have to take 2 linemen in this first round if nothing else plays out. As much as I want Tate, I really want Tate. But after seeing these wide receivers, if we went the offensive line in the first round, and then at 39 got our wide receiver, especially if it's a Fields or a Jacoby Lane or somebody like them, big targets who can run, I'm all for it. So you got to sign Linderbaum, and then if you can get yourself, if you can maybe the bookends from Utah, you get both Fano and Lomu, get them in here, and because you're going to lock these guys down for the next 4 or 5 years. They're going to be when the new stadium opens, they'll be hitting their prime for sure. But they'll be instant starters. A lot of these guys. I mean, I like so many of them, and so you piece that together, and then of course you have Linderbaum, and then a couple other pieces, to shore out that line. You'll have the rookies, obviously, but free agency, and then maybe a couple of the holdovers that we have. Maybe Tev Jenkins plays left guard for you. Maybe it's Zinter at right guard. But then I think with the offense, early on, I would focus on the running game and let Judkins and Sampson do their thing. First couple of games, 2-3 games, and take that slower approach. And the defense we know is going to be good. Let the defense do its thing, and let's win games like I thought we could have won games last year. I thought we were going to have some semblance of an offense last year. We didn't. Play like I called it last time, guards ball. Just if we have to give the rookies a chance and the new guys a chance to get there, because everybody's going to be learning this new offense. Get their feet under them. First couple, 2-3 games, you could go run heavy and then slowly start to open it up and let Shedeur cook. I don't have a problem with that. And it's approach I would take when I was coaching with the kids. I would tell them, I'm like, let's get good at something first. And so we would work on one major facet of our offense, whatever it was most about. This worked a lot in basketball. But I would always tell them, let's get good at something first, and then we'll add to it. And that's how we would approach it. And so, the first couple of weeks of the season, 2-3 weeks of the season, we really focused on one part of our offense to get really good at that, to know we could fall back on that whenever we needed to fall back on. And then we started adding some bells and whistles to it. We got the Christmas tree first, right? And then you add the ornaments. And that's how I think we can take this approach with the Browns offense, especially after, seeing what I saw over the weekend. I honestly think it is a requirement to take, if you don't trade back and you don't get extra picks, 2 out of your first 3 picks have to be linemen. Have to be. And if there's a trade back scenario, I would say 3 out of the first 4. The other one being a wide receiver. Without a doubt, that is, to me, what you have to do to revamp this offense and revamp it in a hurry. I've been telling you all along, folks, these guys are good enough, man. And you're going to be able to flip this offense super fast, especially with a coach in Monken who knows how to adjust to his players' strengths. This is going to happen fast, folks. And today is the first day of the rest of our lives. And so we'll keep talking about it over the next couple of days. We'll talk a little bit more about it, piecing it all together in different scenarios. But out of the gate, as we're a week away from the start of free agency, I think that's the way. I think we got to pick two of these guys in the first 3 picks or 3 in the first 4. These linemen, they're ridiculous. They are so big, so fast, so good. It is the year of the lineman, man, in the NFL draft. And, when you got GM saying, man, you're going to find starting talent in the first round. And I'm telling you, it's good. Some of it's going to slip in there because after what these defensive guys did, there's going to be teams that can't pass up on those guys. So some of these other guys are going to fall down. We're going to have shots at them. So that is where we can start. Now, what's always taken first in our draft are the viewer comments, and we'll start today with RG4378, who says Monken was talking about Shadour's ability to get it done, knowing he can win with that. Now, he's talking about that interview that Monken did, and we read between the lines. We read the tea leaves. We were picking up what he was putting down, because anytime you hear him talk about the Browns' performance last year, all he ever talks about is the last 7 games. And so, another thing that kind of, and it's on a sidebar, you just made me think of something, RG. As I was watching the combine yesterday and watching all of these gigantic linemen, and the way the Browns are going with their line, Dillon Gabriel is cooked. They're going to put together a line. All these guys are going to be mountains, and there is going to be no way Dillon Gabriel. How is he going to function in this offense at his size? So Dillon Gabriel's days might be really numbered now, because we're going that route. You heard both Barry and Monken say it. We are going big, man. We're going big or going home. So your line is we're probably going to have average like a 6'5" line with 300, all those guys are going to be massive. So, but I digress. That was a sidebar. But yes, so Todd Monken talking about, the goal and saying, what I saw in the last 7 games was this and this and that. Who quarterbacked the last 7 games? And so he's saying it without saying it. Shedeur Sanders is QB1, and you are exactly right, RG. I saw the same thing just like you. John Solers, 5089, says, I would love to see the Browns take Kenyon Sadiq at 39 if he's still on the board. Having him and Fannin Jr. would be awesome. He can block, catch, and run a 4.39. Like getting a wide receiver and offensive lineman in one. Yeah, he had the fastest 40-yard dash of any tight end, man, that 4.39. Fastest one since 2003, Vernon Davis and Doran Dickerson. Both ran 4.4s as tight ends. So Vernon Davis, that's a pretty good one. Yeah, it'd be, and I just don't think we can take a tight end that early. I think you got those 3 5th-rounders, there's a lot of tight ends. It'd be nice to get him, but we got to see what happens in free agency. We might get Isaiah Likely, but yeah, to add that kind of weapon. And speaking of adding weapons, did you see Shedeur I think I look like the airport. Talking to the lady, and the lady was telling him, like, we got to get Marvin Harrison or Olave. And he said, well, tell the camera. He didn't want to say it. He didn't want to say it himself. And he tells the lady at the airport, he says, look at the camera and tell him Marvin Harrison or Olave, bring them. And so even Shedeur is on the Marvin Harrison. I don't think Olave's going anywhere, man. I just don't see that happening at all. Plus, he's smaller. But I love Olave. Don't get me wrong. He's a Buckeye. But, man. So if you got Shedeur lobbying through a lady at the airport to get Marvin Harrison, I don't know, maybe where there's smoke, there's fire, man. I'm all for it. All right, Seacott Camp. This is an interesting take. I think, and there's a point to using this. This is Grizz, just for fun. Wonder if having the quarterbacks play wide receiver. Now this spurs off of the Arkansas quarterback running that 4-3. And I'm saying, I don't see, everybody's already saying he's going to be a wide receiver. Of course, he's already saying, no, I'm going to be a quarterback. So he'll probably get drafted as a quarterback, and then they'll try to convert him. Because my thought is this: if he was a legitimate quarterback prospect, we would have heard of him. I mean, I remember watching Arkansas a little bit and seeing him, but the consistency wasn't there for me. But we would have known much more about him before the combine if he was a serious, under serious consideration as a quarterback in the NFL. But Seacott Camp says, just for fun, I wonder if having the quarterbacks play wide receiver, tight end, and running back for half a day would give them all a different perspective on these roles, giving them a different perspective on their own role as well as quarterbacks. Sort of like a manager who has to do the different jobs to understand what the employees do and how it feels and relates to the big picture. I know out of the box, but could be fun for everyone. Even have the linemen play defense, etc. No pads, just touch, just learning moment and a perspective. Light switch turn on and illuminate the house. And Seacott Camp, I am all for those kinds of things. And when I was in TV, I used to say it all the time. I used to always say, anchors should, I was a lot like anchors usually start out as reporters, so there's a similarity there. But like I always said, anchors and reporters should work as producers, so they understand. Like when a producer tells a reporter your story has to be 1 minute and 30 seconds long, and then they come back and say my story's 1 minute and 55. They understand. Like the producer puts together the show, and each segment has an allotted time, and so when you're taking, there's no time to give, and so. And then producers do get used to reporters who always come in over and things like that. But I used to say that all the time, and so to know how to do all these different roles, I think it just helps. It helps the whole team. It's a good team building thing. And then you'll know, what your colleague is going through during a game. And so, no, I see Camp. I don't know. I mean, that'd be, whether it's like, early on as kind of a team building thing or something that you do, I don't have a problem with that at all. I think that's a great idea. To let them all switch positions just for a day. Just the Girl 007 says, I'm a Shedeur fan, and I don't believe I don't believe that Joe Milton is better than Shedeur right now. Remember somebody was asking about trading for Joe Milton? He's like, but I don't think he stinks. If he develops how he should, he's probably going to be the next quarterback in Dallas. And I 100% agree with that. Yeah, I don't think Joe Milton stinks at all. I don't think that at all. I think Thrasso, the talent evaluator that only we know, he has been on Milton for years. He loved Milton even early on. And so I think Milton's in the perfect place. When they made that trade, and whatever, what did we say yesterday? A 5th round pick or whatever it was? I think he's in a good spot. That's the perfect backup quarterback for Dak. And he can sit there and learn, and he's got a cannon, man. He has a cannon. But I think Milton's in the perfect spot right now. Dallas is never going to give him up because he fits what they want to do perfectly. And we will end today with Bruce Goodman, 6439. This is what we teased at the top. Bruce Goodman wrote in and said, who cares about Shedeur Sanders? That's all I hear about. Nuts. Well, Bruce, in Cleveland, if you are the quarterback of the Cleveland Browns, people are going to talk about you a lot. Actually, all the time. Because, I don't know if you noticed, but it's been a while since we've had a good one. Like 42 since 1999. And so this is a very touchy subject with Cleveland Browns fans. And now that we finally have a quarterback with a ton of potential and a coach who's got an MO for developing young quarterbacks into MVP candidates, a little bit of excitement around the Cleveland area. And all Browns fans are just oozing with it because of the way this offense is going to come together. So, Bruce, I'm sorry, but you're going to have to listen to a lot of Shedeur talk. Probably for the next, 10 to 15 years, because he is our franchise quarterback. And so Monken will be taking us to multiple Super Bowls with Shador at the helm. But first things first, we got to get this offensive line shored up. And now we can set our sights on free agency and then the draft. The train is getting ready to leave the station, folks, on the 2026 season. Okay, thanks so much for joining us. That'll do it for today's show. Go Browns! We will see you next time.